Hello, well, today I am going to build up one of the alpha sets. So I figured I'd start from the beginning and build one up, go through the steps. So here I already have the cardiac one. So I wanted to see if maybe a different one could be maybe better towards tanking. So I figured I'd try resilient out because resilient ultimately will give me damage resistance upped by 33%. And two hit buffs, but I don't think I have anything that's going to use it. But it's mostly for the resistance. I figured, why not? Let's give it a try and see what the numbers are. Because on this alt, I have a lot of shards and a lot of notices of the well. Because I've been doing weeklies and playing, and they kind of maxed it out for everything else. Like all of this stuff is, pretty much top tier. I really don't need anything at the moment, so I figured I'd try this. And this would be if you were trying to start up, how would you go about building it? So you start off with the first one, which is the lowest level. Now you have a choice of building it with shards or threads. I can do either one, because I have a lot of them, but threads are usually used for these top ones. Judgment Interface, Lore, Destiny, and Hybrid. The alpha slot is predominantly associated with shards. So if I don't use shards, I'm going to use up the threads, and I still have all these excess shards that I haven't found any other use for them. It's just to build the alpha slot. So let's build this up here. I usually start at the bottom and work my way up because the bottom ones are the more uncommon ones that require maybe an extra step to build. So this one says I need the first level, they're all going to be just the common ones. Once you get to the second level, you'll see what I mean. So I need Dimensional, Essence, and Ancient, DEA. So I go here, click on Common, DEA. It's very convenient because none of them start with the same letter that I know of. So I can kind of just remember the first three letters and then just create it. And we create. All right, we have that one. Next thing we need to do is ultimately I want to get here. So I need to create any of these. So sometimes I'll look through and see if maybe I have something left over from one of these that I've done. But there's a good chance I don't. And notice of the wells, I have a lot. Those you get from weeklies. So the weeklies, you can see which ones they are by going to the LFG tab and scrolling until you see a purple. So this week, it resets Mondays. It's Caverns of Transcendence and which task forces? There are usually three total. Oh, there they are. Dr. Khan and Barracuda. And you can hover over them to see what level they are. This one's 45 to 50, and you get 30 merits times 2. And this one, Barracuda is a villain side. And this is a Dr. Khan, which is also 4550. You get 20 merits and a dimensional keystone. So some of these will actually yield components you need, but I can't keep track of where each one of them drops. The only one I remember is that the ancient Nictus fragment comes from the Imperious Task Force because there's a lot of Nictus you fight in that task force, so it's memorable. All the other ones are hmm, don't know which one drops where, so I just constructed. So let's build here. Let's build this one now. As I said, I start at the bottom, so I need infinite tessellation, and that's going to be an uncommon one. In order to build it, I need a dimensional keystone. Okay, so go here, create a dimensional keystone, then create an infinite tessellation. Go back and see what else I need. I need essence, an E, and a P. And those are the common ones. There's the E, there's the P. And we create another one. And let's see, this one, interesting note here is that, see the Garai matter? You can buy Garai matter in the Rikti War Zone if you have Vanguard merits. I don't have too many on there, so I'm just going to spend the shards. But if you do like either Mothership Raid or you do missions that are related to Rikti and you've unlocked the Vanguard, I'll also show how to unlock a Vanguard in another video, but it's very easy. You show up in Vanguard and you talk to the first NPC, and she sends you in a couple of little missions to talk to people, and then you unlock your Vanguard, which means now you can start earning Vanguard merit from any of the missions related to Vanguard and any of the activities and task forces. So it's it's useful at lower levels when you don't have a lot of shards to buy the Garai matter with Vanguard merits. But anyways, we'll just craft it. So this one needs a dimensional keystone and a Hero 1 DNA sample. So DNA sample and a dimensional keystone. The third row works by having two common ones and Notice of the Well. You can also build Notice of the Well. It's one of the rare components. But as you can see, it requires a bunch of shards and a good amount of influence, 12.5 million influence. So this is a really expensive thing, relatively speaking, and it's a lot easier to just do a weekly and get one. And that's what I've been doing. I do weeklies depending on which one is up with a lot of the alternate characters. You earn the Notice of the Well once you hit level 50. So if you're like a lower level and you do a weekly task force, you just get double merit. But once you hit 50, you'll start earning these. And eventually you'll just have a lot of them. So, okay, so let's go back here. All right, so I have this one created. And now you can pick any path. Sometimes when you do, like I said, when you do missions or you have some stuff left over, you can just check the path and see which one of these will yield. But in order to build this or this, you just need two of any of these. So let's just go down up this way now. So I need a DEA. Go to common DEA. I think I got that right. And then you need to incarnate infused Nictus. I bet you it has ancient Nictus in it. So you go to uncommon, incarnate infused Nictus. Yeah, it requires ancient Nictus. So you create one of these. And then you go here and create one of those. Let's go back and see what else I need. A D and an H of commons. D and H. We've created that one. And now, I don't know, pick one. Um, Garai Matter and Penumbra of Rularu. So Penumbra of Rularu, I think, drops on one of like the Dr. Quatermain or one of the other um, out of land missions. And they do come up as weekly. So if you do a weekly, you might get that particular one and somebody will do it. It's a long one, if I'm thinking of it, the right one. Dr. Q is probably about hour and a half to 2 hour long task force. But I think you get like 288 merit when it's on the weekly, 144 otherwise, which is a lot of merit. And there are people that know how to do them well, and they'll use like the team transports and team gather, the assemble team powers really quickly, and you can get it done in close to an hour. And that's a lot of merit for an hour. Plus, it's kind of fun because you get to travel around these crazy islands and see all these weird monsters. Anyways, where was I? Let's go back here. So I think we picked this one, Garai and Penumbra. Garai. You can probably also look up in the wiki where they drop if you really want them to drop. But usually if I do a task force and given a choice of one of these components or merit, I always take merit because I can spend merit on so many other things. This stuff is kind of just focused on this. And when you're done, merit would be a lot more useful. So let's create this. And now the final step, which is this one. So it needs a Hero 1 and a Vanguard meta matrix. So Hero 1. The Vanguard meta matrix is probably there. And I guess I need another Hero 1 to create. So now I have that. And I think I need Favor of the Well. So this one you actually have to craft under the very rare. And Favor of the Well requires 2 Notices of the Well and 32 shards. Also not a bad one. I think Notice of the Well is like the worst one to create because you have to create all of these and you got to pay a lot. Favor of the Well, which is the 4th level, doesn't require any influence, just the shards, which you probably have and have a lot of them. So Actually winds up being a good deal. And now you just have to now you have to find the right ones, because remember you can have a combination of any. So you essentially now just scroll through until you find one that's lit up, and that's this one. So I have this and this, and they coincide to this one. Then I create. There it is. So this one gives us, let's see, 33% increase in damage resistance. I don't know. Let's see what that really does. So let's go to efficient stance where it's 83.92 and see how this affects us. It may or may not show up here. I don't know. This is me experimenting with it to see what it does. And then you go to equip. We just built this one, and then you can do slot power. Well, they went up about 1.5%. Is it? Okay. Well, live and learn. So I guess it really didn't do much. All right. So originally I had this, which was cardiac. Oh, so I went from 20% to, I have this one. So I did. I went from 20% to 33%, 13% increase in resistance buffs, which really comes from mostly from tough and I think the hardened carpus. So the boost wasn't as high as I hoped. So oh well. It's worth to experiment sometimes, especially when you have too many. But now you have an idea of how to build these and what they do. Eventually, I was gonna try this one too and see if the defense buffs work out, but it's the same process. You just go through, click through, put the defense in, and then see how it affects your overall defense. And it it might have been just boosting this part. So I mean, the increase is there, but it's kind of smallish. So I went from 20 to 33. So now it's just, it's a typical MMO thing. When you get to the end game, it's always like just 0.5% more, 1% more, and it takes decent amount of time to get there. So the good thing about this game is that you can get most of the way there in a relatively short amount of time, and then if you want, you can spend all this extra time being slightly better. But where you get to when you get to 50 and do your alphas is adequate for, I'd say, like 99% of the encounters. So what I'm doing here is just mostly messing around with powers and numbers and seeing if it gets any better. But I really didn't need it. I mean, I can pick any one of these, place it in there, and go tank almost every task force or villain, and it will work just fine. Plus, the important thing is if you're in a team, there's always going to be somebody who's buffing you or debuffing the enemies or controlling the crowds and healing you. So as long as you function in this case as a tank, everything else will be made up for. You'll probably get somebody to bubble you or use thermal, and you'll get your resists and defense up into like astronomical numbers. And this this little percentage thing that we're seeing here doesn't really matter. Like if I get a bubble shield on me, all my defenses are going to go to like 40%. So it's like no matter how much I do to this build to get 1 or 2% here and there, it's only for solo play. Once I get into a team, there's always going to be somebody, hopefully, that will buff you to a degree where it's like, a few percent here and there, but then you got this gigantic shield buff, and it's like, oh, it's all great, and then you can just have fun. So, anyways, so that was an example of building an alpha slot from the beginning all the way to the top tier. Have fun.